Well, hello, welcome to week 17 of the weekly financial roundtable for schools. Remember, money's not the most important thing in life, but it is like oxygen on the gotta have it scale. So I'm Tom Kuhn from Qnity. We exist to help people earn great money, do what they love, and have quality of life. And for businesses to have great profit, culture, and competitive edge. And how to go from confusion, overwhelm, and complexity into a more clear path to success with a approach that's simple, visual, and actionable. I know your time is precious, and so I want to thank you for your time, for joining us. It means a lot to us. We love building community and love being more and more involved in the school community. We hope you have some light bulb moments today, and that maybe some dots might connect for you. Our last guest 2 weeks ago was James Griffith from James Griffith Salons. And then Aaron and myself did a segment on what we call Preneurship, amongst other things, being a difference between entrepreneur, and a solopreneur, really spelling out the differences, educating the workforce, on what the difference is, the pros and cons, the reality, how taxes impact it, and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that we are going to do is give you highlights from a conference that we just hosted last week in Chicago. It was our 10th conference for what we call the 2 to 10 project. And these are businesses that have between 2 and 10 locations, and we get together once a year for sharing, for data and community to help people work together to create a more prosperous future. And so we had, this is from last Tuesday, a week ago. We're in Chicago at the Waldorf, and amazingly, everything went without a glitch. We had a great turnout. We had people that were hungry to share, learn. And there's a lot of lessons in this for school leaders, and this is going to be part 1 of a series. The format of the conference and the format of much of our work at Qnity when we work with small businesses is to break the business down into what we call 5 different functions: operations, education, marketing, human capital, and finance. And we had various roundtables. We had what we call conversation starters. It's very much a potluck of sharing of ideas. Amazing people from across the country shared their wisdom in these different functions. And so what we're going to do is give you what we feel to be some relevant shares that came out of the conference. We're going to have Tammy Coakley from Spa Blue in the Chicago area. She's going to share something on human capital. And then Kevin Perryman is going to share something related to education. 2 really great shares and 2 great guests. They're with us this morning. Kevin did a different share this morning at the conference. We actually had him do 2 different segments. And I think that both of these shares by Tammy and Kevin are very timely. They're very relevant and very much appropriate for a school-related conversation. Shout out to our sponsors, Pivot Point. Not only are they sponsors, but they're also our partner in our new money course, financial literacy training. So we're super excited about this. We launched it officially in September, and we've already have a tremendous number, great traction in terms of making this program available to the next generation of students. The modules cover many of the core things that really set up students for success and a prosperous future. So they stay in the industry, they make a good living, have quality of life, and that everything really is positive in terms of the ecosystem for the professional beauty and wellness industry. So we hope you'll become a money school. Our website, it's Qnity for Schools. You can qnityforschools.com. You can book a demo there. You can also put something in the chat, and we can get on your calendar. Also wanted to acknowledge Lightheart Sanders, CPAs who sponsor these roundtables. They've been great sponsors and great contributors to the roundtable. The 9 Grid is furnished as a visual thinking tool. It is a place where you can identify your light bulb moments. You can download it. It should come out with the invitations. So hopefully you'll have some light bulb moments. So we have welcoming to the Brain Trust both Tammy and Kevin. We're going to start with Kevin today. So I'm going to invite Kevin to turn on his camera and turn on his voice. Kevin, how are you? Whoop, you're still on mute, I think, there.
I am doing fantastic today, Tom. Thank you.
Well, so you're located down in New Orleans.
That's right.
And you are not in a school company. You're in a salon company with 8 locations, plus a barbershop and another one coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
And your title is? Director
of Staff Engagement.
I love that. Could you describe what that means?
Yeah, sure. So as salon leaders, so much of the role leans toward operations, just making sure that the business functions properly. There's so much that goes into that. And when you have 9, almost 10 locations, sometimes our service providers don't get the attention that they need to grow their business and to be coached. So that's where I come in.
And it's absolutely the same thing for schools. And when you go multi-location, whether it's a salon or a school, I think it becomes even more and more important because of the risk of being disconnected, you know. So I love that title, especially today, when finding instructors and finding members of the leadership team in schools is harder than ever. So I love your area of focus. Now, so this is a story that relates to your salon model, but I think it's appropriate for all of us. And it has to do with inclusion, diversity, and how that led you to some new services. And we'll see how this ties together with schools. I see how it ties together, but let's just do your share. So you embarked on this process of looking at offering some new services, right? That was really the starting point. So take us through your journey.
Sure. So as many of us know and experienced over the quarantine period, a lot of attention was placed on Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd incident. And it shook us. And, doing textured services in our salons has been one of those things that we've said, we really should do that. And that would be a great idea. I just wish that we could do that. And that whole time period really forced us to say, you know what, we're going to do this, and let's just stop saying that we should and giving lip service to it and really make this a priority for our company. And so it started there. It started with the awareness and the commitment as leaders to do what we needed to do, to be inclusive and to diversify our service offerings. So it started with the awareness from our leaders, and then we extended it out to our education team and those leaders. And we said, hey guys, we're putting a focus on this and we're going to do it. Now we need your buy-in and your support, and let's hear your thoughts around this. And as soon as we did that, there were some very positive conversations, and then there were some very challenging conversations because we wanted to make sure that it didn't come from a place of, well, now we have a captivated audience and all eyes are on us, so let's capitalize on this opportunity. We had to be very careful because that wasn't our motive. Our motive was to show diversity and really embrace this opportunity from that perspective. So in those discussions, it got heated of, well, you're trying to capitalize, and now you're gonna, put this on our website that we do black hair now, and we had to just navigate through that and let them hear our heart, feel our heart, and really just build that trust among us so that then we can extend it to the rest of our company, our service providers. So that took some time. We had to live in that space for a moment and really dedicate our time to make that commitment.
Yeah, I'm letting that sink in for a moment here, to make sure that you're coming from a place of the heart, and this is change management. This is taking a stand, and then also being vulnerable as leaders is what it sounds like to me too.
Yes.
Were you surprised about the backlash is the wrong word. You never use backlash.
Mhm.
It was just the first word that comes to mind. Were you surprised by the pushback?
Personally, I thought this was going to be, yay, finally, we're going to do this. And with one service provider in particular who we brought in, she's been doing textured services for years, quietly in the corner of the salon, has a great business. And we had pushback from her, and rightly so, because we didn't do a good enough job of highlighting the amazing work that she does on a regular basis. And she was a little upset that, oh, it took this, to get you to recognize the work that I do on a daily basis. And we had to be sincere and apologize and say, we didn't acknowledge you like we should have. And now let's put you in the right place of leadership, and let's share your voice, and let's get what you do out there, and let's do it together. We're here to really support you. So it took a moment of us getting through that to where we could build her trust, in particular.
So I've been doing this all along. No one's noticed. And now all of a sudden there's this crisis and we feel like our backs are against the wall. We have to do this. We also want to do this because there's a market opportunity. And so she clearly took issue with that.
Mhm.
So she now has emerged as a leader. Is that right?
Yes, she has. Yes. Doing fantastic work. And she's been working primarily with our new artists. So we've built this curriculum along with her to train new hires that are coming into our company to start from the very beginning and learning these techniques, so that we can continue to offer these to our guests.
I think there's a lot of lessons in this, regardless of whether you're a school or a salon or an education company like we are. And what are some of the lessons that you learned personally, as well as other leaders in your company?
Mhm. To embrace being uncomfortable having these conversations, uh, to be humble, and to acknowledge that you don't, I didn't have the answers. I'm in a position of when there's an initiative, I'm the doer and I get it done fast and we do it efficiently and we get rolling. And I couldn't do that. I had to make sure I had the right language around this. I had to understand that there's a deeper culture to Black hair, and it's fascinating, and it really does play into the services that we do. We have to know what's been happening with Black hair in history, the discrimination piece, and the way that these folks wear their hair as a crown. I mean, that's beautiful. That is all amazing things, and we wanted to just be aware of that and not move too fast.
How long did this whole process take?
A year before we were able to announce to the public that we were ready, to take on these services and offer these services.
And the year ended, had to be in the last couple of months then,
Yeah,
right?
it was. Yeah, it was. And that year took we had a good portion of it being these conversations, and then we had to research. That was a big part of this too, is we wanted to be relevant to what our customers are looking for. So we had to get our eyes on the community and look at salons in our area to see what service offerings were. Get on TikTok, get on YouTube, and and hear what the popular services are, in order for us to have something that people want to come in pay their money to receive. So that took a moment, and we had to narrow down the service offerings. And then from there, once we had our names of what we wanted to provide, then we built a curriculum around that. So we had a place to start whenever it came time to develop our training.
And this special person on your team is the one that then, teaches the curriculum and helped you come up with the curriculum.
She did, yes. Her and a few others. She primarily was a very big part of that.
Gotcha. And how are things going now that you launched this? And
I'm glad you asked that, because this is something I feel like as school leaders, you guys can really appreciate. What's required for state board is oftentimes what these students are not necessarily going to be doing in the salons. However, your Black students have been doing these services possibly for years and have been exposed to this for many, many years. And so what we discovered is when we're bringing in new artists, they have a lot of these skill sets already, and that gave us an opportunity to go ahead and put them on the floor to start doing some work, which has been fantastic. So we have a couple of those instances that where these particular people came from the schools just fresh out of getting their license and can now enter into a salon that are offering these services, and they're the experts. So that's been great for us.
awesome. Kevin, this is a really great share, and it was a different journey than what you expected. You expected just to launch some new services, and instead what it did is it caused a more introspective journey as a company, as a leadership team, one where there was personal growth for you, other members of the leadership team, and the vulnerability and opening yourself up is really great to see. So Kevin, great share. You were on earlier today and I had you do another share, and this had to do with your new hire training. And like many salons out there, you're finding a need and finding solutions to accelerate the time between new hire to when they're taking guests. If anybody wants to see that share, that's on the Salon Roundtable, which we record. But that was another excellent share by you, Kevin. So thank you for that.
Yes, it's been my pleasure.
And so I get to award you another $1 million light bulb. All right.
Yes.
If you guys could all please join me in giving Kevin a virtual round of applause. Give him a little shout out in the chat if you'd be so kind too. He takes his precious time for this. Kevin, I know that I've drafted you to do 2 of these sessions today. I think you have to exit stage left. So if you disappear off the screen here, that's what's expected. So we appreciate you, Kevin.
Yes, and I wish all of you the best success. And thanks for hearing this today.
All right. Take care. All right. Gosh, what a great share. I love this. He's such a good guy too. And he really influenced quite a few people last week with his story. So, all right, let's now get over to Tammy Coakley from Illinois, Spa Blue. And she is going to share something as it relates to providing mental health related assistance on a timely basis for members of her team, as well as another community that we'll get to. So Tammy, how are you?
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good to see you again. We get to be together a couple times today. So you are located in the western suburbs of Chicago, the West Dundee area, 2 locations. You've been a business owner how long?
17 years, Tom.
17 years. Wow. And you have a great business and a big heart. And I had thought about you contributing a 2 to 10. And when you told me what you wanted to contribute, or something that was very passionate, I thought, wow, that's something we got to hear. So this is this is really something that we'll refer to as care team. So let's first of all discuss the challenge that you were experiencing as a business owner.
Yeah. So, after getting back from COVID, we realized fairly quickly that we were just getting some team members with a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, and we were noticing it from the guests as well. So, we really wanted to focus on their, mental health right now. And I think it's not only in the salon industry, but I think we're going to be experiencing this in a lot of different organizations, schools, even, everywhere, unfortunately.
And so certainly many health insurance programs and benefits provide employee assistance programs, but there's a problem with that, and let's talk about that.
So the problem that I was finding and hearing in our team is, one, the timeliness of getting in a session. Even if they do see a counselor or were looking for a counselor, they weren't able to find an appointment, sometimes for out to 30 days. So, when somebody's in a dire situation, I feel like they need a little sooner attention than 30 days.
And so you found something that's really cool. So let's describe what this is.
Yeah, so we brought it on in our team as a benefit to our team, but it also is a benefit to their families as well as a benefit to our guests. So we call it the care team. We were assigned 2 females and a male to our companies that stop by the locations. So they're in the location weekly, not, to disrupt anything, but they just stop in and say hi and, see if there's anything that, anybody might want to talk to them about or not. And they're just becoming familiar faces, which is a huge thing that you won't see if you're, just calling numbers off the computer or your insurance or whatever.
So this is like a subscription-based program then, as I understand it?
Yeah, so it's a per employee price. It costs our company about $5.50 a month, and it's free to the team members as well as their families as well as our guests. So basically they have an app, they have a phone number, they can call, meet with them outside of work, meet with them in work. They'll go to hospitals, jails, funerals. They'll do pretty much anything within reason where they might be needed.
And you've had some team members that have taken advantage of this.
Yes, we've had I'd say a handful of team members, a couple right before we even rolled out the program that reached out and have used it and have had success. It is a confidential program, so unless they directly tell me, I don't know who's using it and for what reason. However, they do, eventually give you some data on how many people are using it, not who's using it.
So use an example of an employee, was it a husband, I believe?
Yeah, her husband had been struggling with some anxiety and finally, and I had been aware of it a few times. She had mentioned it, and after I spoke about what we were bringing on as far as this benefit, she reached out because he had, mentioned that he was looking for some help. And, we know that, that when they ask for help is the time they need it. So I made the connection. They, got in contact with them right away. She thanked me for it, said that, he felt better. How many times in their relationship since then, I don't know, and I don't ask. But I was extremely happy as a owner to be able to offer that to her in a place where she would have been trying to find something, to help him. And he was, within, 10 minutes was able to talk to somebody.
That was the really big nugget for me, is that and it really hit me over the head that when someone wants help, they want help.
Yeah.
And sometimes getting to the point where they've got the courage to ask for help is a really big deal. And so let's say someone asks for help today, but then it's 30 days before you get in. It might be that now they're no longer open to help, or the problem's been exacerbated, or there could be a tragedy in the interim. So it's the whole idea that really jumped out to me was it matches the urgency of the situation, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And they, they will be in contact with you within 10 minutes of your phone call, and it's available 24/7. So, you just don't
10,
know what people
yeah,
are
10,
going through.
yeah, 10 minutes. That's remarkable.
Hmm.
So now at the conference last week,
Hmm.
you were doing your share, and normally they take like 15 minutes. And I was floating between the different rooms, and I was in the room when you started your share. Then I had to go check into the other rooms, and I came back like 30 minutes later, and people were still asking you questions about it. So there's a lot of interest by business owners, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And um, the some of the questions had to do with um, maybe is it denominational? Is there a faith element to it?
Hmm.
Let's talk about that for a moment.
Yeah. So it is a faith-based organization. However, they, they don't judge your lifestyle. They don't push any type of belief on you. They will discuss it with you if you bring it up, but it is, it was one of those things I wanted to make sure that they weren't talking about, because I didn't want it to deter people that maybe don't have the same faith or that don't have the same spiritual beliefs, from using the service. And that's why we do call it a care team, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And let's go back to pricing for a moment. So this is a per person price. It's based upon how many employees you have.
Hmm.
But, let's say, and you have how many employees? Is it 60,
So we are,
65?
yeah, about 60 to 65 at any given time.
And how much is it per employee per month?
So they have charged us $8.95 per employee per month, which comes, like I said, about $550. And it's open to their immediate family, and it's open to our guests. If we feel a guest is in need, we can offer them the business card, the app. And yeah, so it's not only available for our team, which was really a done deal for me when I learned of, the benefits of it.
Yeah, when you prioritize you prioritize where you put your money in benefits, this one just seems so impactful, and it's not something that I'd ever heard of before.
Hmm.
And $8.95 per person, but if each person on average has two family members or one family member, so really per person cost goes way down. Here's the thing that I still can't figure out, and I'm still scratching my head on this, that it's open up to customers too, but they don't charge you for that.
No, they don't charge you the extra fees. It's just per employee.
Okay.
So if you refer your customers, it's just, something they offer. They know that every single person on the team is not going to be using this service, especially at the same time, right? So yeah, they extend it to their families and our guests. And I mean, anyone in our industry or most industries know that there's crisis going on probably every day in someone's life that we meet. So to me, it was just, you have guests upset in your chair, and it's just nice to not only have to listen, but to also be able to offer, someone else for them to talk to when they're not with you.
Patricia asked, and thank you, Patricia, and good morning or afternoon. I think you're morning. Such a great program. Can you put the name of the company in the chat? Do you mind revealing the name of the company verbally?
Yeah, so we call it the Marketplace Care Team, but it is also referred to as the Marketplace Chaplain Team. And they do have an app, and you can read up all about it on their website. And, you know, it's nationwide, so it's available to everyone in the US. I don't know if it's, you know, I don't know exactly every experience everywhere, but I know our experience with this company has been amazing.
And they've been around a while?
Yeah.
And are these trained therapists or?
So they are trained, they're certified, they're not necessarily, you know, counselors or social workers or things like that, but they are trained. They have a training program certification that they do.
I'm wondering, thank you, Michelle, for that. Michelle put it in the chat. I'm wondering, and I'm sure you didn't ask this question, but how it would work for a school. I mean, let's just say that you've got a team of between instructors and staff, et cetera. You've got maybe 15, 20 members of the school team, and you've got, at any given time, you've got a couple hundred students going through the program. I'm going to guess they would charge by staff and students. I'm wondering if there's a loophole here. If you, if sort of like, if we see students as customers, if it couldn't be the same thing. So maybe you only pay for the 15, 20 members of your team, and students are customers. So I don't know, that's.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah. And they sound like a organization that really wants to make a difference. This is a for-profit organization?
Yes.
It is. Okay. All right. Gotcha. Well, I think that this is amazing. And there's no question that the amount of stress and the you know, the different things that the school community has had to deal with has put many on edge. And you know, going from in person to, whoa, not only in person, now we got to figure out this whole hybrid model or entirely virtual. It puts a lot of strain on schools, you know. So I really felt that I think the school owners would need to call, email to find out individual pricing. Yes, I'm sure that's the case. I just think it's so relevant, and I wanted to make sure this information got out, because even if one school enrolls in this and one person has an experience that makes a difference, it's worth our share today, right, Tammy?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, Tammy, thanks for joining us today. I got you twice, and if those of you listening in could give Tammy a little shout out, I'd appreciate it in the chat. Let's give her a virtual round of applause. And let me award to you your second $1 million light bulb for your light bulb moments. And
thank you.
And thanks again. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Tom.
Absolutely. All right. Wow. That is just amazing. Okay. So one of the things that I did on Monday is I had the privilege to do a main stage presentation at the Interculture event in New York City. And my topic was a career in beauty. I've spent quite a bit of time talking about, in the absence of information, people making up their own stories. We spent some time talking about preneurship and some of the stories that really are out there as students enter the workforce, and helping them make better decisions. We shared a story of Adam, who actually thought that as a preneur, or he was an entrepreneur, and he decided to go off on his own. Really what he wanted to do is he just wanted to do hair. And little did he realize that how much time he'd spend on inventory, booking appointments, insurance, and paying rent, enforcing policies, and paying taxes. And so, you know, part of what we want to do is make sure that people make good decisions. Solopreneur, being solo, is absolutely a legitimate form of business, but it's not for everybody, and probably not for most people coming out of schools. And in many cases, people will become a solopreneur before they're ready. So we spent a little bit of time talking about that, and perhaps we can cover that in a future session. We're going to keep it short today, guys. Thank you for listening in. We hope you'll become a money school. You can book a demo at qnityforschools.com. Light bulb moments today. I hope you had them. Closing thoughts. Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Being willing is not enough. We must do. And I think that Tammy is really a great example of this, as is Kevin. So hopefully we inspired you to maybe think about some of the areas that you want to address and take an action on it, regardless if it's related with human capital, education, or whatever. So anyway, thanks for joining us today. We'll be on again next week. And always good to see all of you. We've got some of our regulars this week. Thanks for the comments there. And we will now wrap this up. So have a good and prosperous week, and see you next week. Thanks again.